Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We've got AJ, we've got Big E, we've got Rudo coming to you live as it's a Thursday in late July. So I thought, let's talk some unsung heroes. Let's talk maybe not the best players in Avalanche history, but some of the guys that are fondly remembered or maybe not so fondly remembered, but deserve to be fondly remembered. A couple of other fun conversations as well for the day. So should be an interesting one. Instead of diving right into our topics, I did want to start off with this one. Always a good off-season topic. You could add one rule to the NHL and you could remove one rule from the NHL. Is there something you would add and something you would remove? Eric, you're not allowed to bring back the red line, though. You have to come up with a different. You have to come up with a different rule.
You guys know me too well. AJ, take the floor. Throw away my answer.
Yeah, I would.
Go ahead.
I would add conditional draft picks into that's one of the few things about the NFL formula that I really like, is the conditional draft pick formula of if you lose a bunch of high-end free agents in one off season, they give you a third-round pick. If you lose a couple of lower end free agents, you get lower round picks. But it's all calculated out so that if you lose a bunch of those guys, but you don't sign any, you get a higher pick. But if you lose a bunch of guys and you sign a bunch of guys, it negates it. So I really like that. If a team is going to lose a handful of free agents, think of how much this, for example, could have helped the Avalanche in 22 when they lost Kadri and Burakovsky in the same offseason. Them getting an end of third round pick would have really helped them. And for me, it's a way to kind of mitigate, it gives an organization an asset for losing really high valued ones. Yeah, they're not incredibly valuable assets. It's the 100th pick or something. But I think the whole compensatory pick system is something that I would love to see the NHL adopt.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm. I got one that I'd abolished, and you beat me to obviously my red line, and then it will beat me to mine. I hate that trap.
I had that too.
Yeah, I absolutely hate it. I think it's fun because, Patrick, let's just not kid ourselves. He thought he was awesome, and he was very average at it. Average at best. And we all know the Rangers. Remember, he crosses the red line, and Patty was. You got to give him credit. Marty Brodeur was so good at it, so Patty was like, oh God, I'm gonna be good too at that aspect. Because he's a winner, right? He wanted to be the best at everything, but it was adventurous. I think it was more adventurous. I think you saw more goals than whatever that trapezoid is doing, which is, I get it, what they were trying to do, but I think it's just, I don't know. It didn't need to be added. Get rid of it. Get back to normal. Let goalies make mistakes and let the guys that think they're good be absolutely atrocious at the most crucial times, and it's fun. It makes the game fun, and if you're good at it, you're an extra defenseman. It's awesome. It's an attribute that you can add to your goalie repertoire. You know what I mean? So I like that. I never liked it. How many times have you seen it, a goalie penalized? Not very much over the years. I mean, I bet you it's a couple times a year you see it. I don't remember the last time I saw it live. And then it was more about, right, they were saying that it was taken away from the offense, which I'd like to know how you can prove that, but whatever. You know what I mean? So for me, that's a stupid one. I agree with AWOL. I'll let AWOL be the the person here that gets it, but I'm going to second it.
There are a couple of ones. I'll skip over the ones we always say, like delay of game and stupid stuff like that. It just clearly should not be the way that it is. But two things that I would change, and maybe this isn't adding or removing, but more so tweaking. One, goalie interference. If he's not in the crease, it's not goalie interference. All right. Can we just accept this law? If the goalie's outside of his crease, run him. I don't care. He's out there. He's a hockey player.
I like that.
Number two, and this is a rule that I would change pretty aggressively. Adding on to, you already have the rule of like defensemen can't close their hand on the puck in the crease and things like that. I would take it a step further to the point of defensemen cannot lie down in the crease. Maybe even if you wanted to go that far, defensemen can't even go in the crease. You got a goalie for a reason. Let the goalie be the goalie.
Okay.
All right.
So, are we taking any other rules from other sports? Like in 3v3, you can't take it past the center line. A little half-court violation.
I don't like that rule.
But every time we watch 3v3, you get mad.
Yeah, because I want to play 5v5.
Okay. That sounds great. Yeah, we were just talking about, before we went live on air, we were just talking about how the 97-98 team had 17 ties. That sounds awesome. Let's live through that again. A quarter of the season ending up in no
play till you
result
win.
at all.
Play till you win, buddy.
All right.
If I could change one thing, I didn't live in that era. I lived in the old era. But this new thing about after your first season, you get to have your own room on the road. That's BS, man. Bring it back. Are you kidding me? I would have been bored to death for 10 years, like in my own room. Are you kidding me? You need a roommate. Come on. That's the beauty of being on the road. You got your roommate, and you learn to, you have fun and camaraderie, and go out to dinner with the fellas, and you don't want to retract. I can't watch TV by myself. Are you kidding me? I'd be requesting, like, I don't care. I'd be like a 10-year vet. I'd be like, hey, I need a roommate. I can't do this. So
Eric's the reason people like me needed their own room. Confirmed.
That's right. You're the reason. You're the reason. I'm the reason why caller ID was like, invented. They're like, oh God, I'm not answering. What does he want?
Yeah. I've said it before, but could not do it. Could not do the pro hockey travel schedule. I would die for sure. At least out here in Colorado. Maybe back east it'd be doable. But
yeah.
All right. We can move into one of our two main topics, and that is the Colorado Avalanche Hall of Very Good. I want to know who makes the cut here. Kind of my marker is there is no Colorado Avalanche Hall of Fame or whatever you want to call it, but we can take the retired numbers and say, all right, that's essentially the Colorado Avalanche Hall of Fame. Who comes after that? Who is the best player that not the best player, because obviously they've had short stints with some Hall of Famers and things like that. But who falls just shy of getting their number retired with the Colorado Avalanche? And there might be one or two that are close-ish, and then it kind of falls off, and we'll get into that. But who's at the top of that list for you guys?
I want to know how we feel about Mikko in this one.
I mean, I'm not putting him in the Hall of Very Good. Yeah.
I think that McKinnon, Landeskog, and Makar are all on track to potentially have their numbers retired.
Yeah. And so was Mikko.
And that's where, like, Mikko was absolutely 96 had he re-signed and stayed, Mikko was going to get that thing retired. No question about it. And is he now going to be like the best player in Avalanche history to never have his number retired?
I think I would still retire his number.
I'd be okay with it too. For me, he's, the greatest left winger in this franchise's history. I mean, Avalanche. Sorry, Goo. Talking about Avalanche.
Hard to say franchise around here.
Yes. So this guy's right here. I think the decision when he didn't sign, he left, he got traded, whatever you want to call that. I think might cost him a little bit of wait time. You know what I mean?
I think that's accurate.
Eventually, I would think that he would be in my book. You know what I mean? So, put the feelings aside, and it is what it is, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game, it's a sport, But I think he did enough to be above the Hall of Very Good, right? I think it deserved one day to get his number retired in my book.
For the record, in just strictly Avalanche history, he's 5th in points, behind Sakic, McKinnon, Hayduk, and Forsberg. And had he stayed even through last season, he would have passed Forsberg.
Yep. Easily would have ended top 3. He's too good for the Hall of Very Good for me. I would still retire his number.
I would not. I'm the dissenting opinion. I'm not retiring it. He made his choice. Good luck to him. Fair. Bad luck to him, Dallas. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being nice about it. All the respect in the world. I don't think he's a bad guy. He's a phenomenal player. I'm forever going to be salty that we didn't get to watch him have a wire-to-wire career in Colorado. I think that sucks. And I would have loved to have seen his number retired, but it is what it is. It's not happening. I'm not doing it.
All right. So Mikko conversation aside, who is next on that list? Because Mikko, if his number gets retired, I don't think you can really argue with the statistical side of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anyone else that really falls into that category for the Avs. So you have...
Yeah.
I guess the one to really talk about to me feels like Alex Tanguay.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I think that's not a retired number, but Hall of Very Good guy. I think the two guys that I would start my Hall of Very Good are Alex Tanguay and Erik Johnson.
I have no objections there. EJ, Tanguay, I feel like there's a little bit of what if with Tanguay. What if he stayed? What if the Avs never traded him twice, technically? Maybe he's making a conversation to get a retired number, sort of Milan Hajduk style. Obviously, that's not how it played out. So it's tough. But with EJ, he definitely just gets in on the... He was Hall of Very Good because he was the best defenseman on some bad Avalanche teams and hung on long enough to see the revival of the Avs. It's as much a emotional placement in the Hall of Very Good as it is EJ's ability for me.
Yeah, I mean, Erik Johnson also 6th in Avalanche history in games played.
Yep.
So it's 7th is Cody McLeod, who's a guy that I'm not putting in the Hall of Very Good. He was just a long
wasn't
tenured,
good enough. Yeah.
Exactly. And Erik Johnson was 16th in Avalanche history in just raw points and 6th in games played. He was the number 1 D for a long time, and he wasn't by the time they won a Stanley Cup, but like one of those guys, like your Hall of Very Good, your next tier down from your retired numbers. Understanding Mikko is the special case. I think Erik Johnson is my number 1 guy on the list, and Alex Tanguay is my number 2 guy on the list, because I think that at their best, Erik Johnson was a top player, yes, on some bad teams. It's not Tanguay's fault that he played on those stacked teams, but he was really good on those teams. But Erik Johnson had to be a number 1 guy for a long time on some not very good teams, and then when he got those guys around him, I don't want to overlook the reality that he was never salty about essentially losing his job to Cale Makar. He was never mad. He accepted the role reduction as it happened over time and turned himself into a really good role guy for the Avalanche and a great veteran leader. And he is Eric Johnson, I think, is everything that you want in a hockey player, in a person. I think he's just fantastic, and organizations are looking around for guys that you build around. It's player and person for EJ.
Agreed. There are maybe a bunch more guys I want to talk about on this, to be honest, but we do need to take our first break here. So let's make sure we get in and do that before we get to some more Hall of Very Good players. Look, Hall of Very Good is cool and all, but if you want great when it comes to banking, you need First Bank. If you're looking for banking that plays at your pace, whether you're tailgating, grabbing halftime snacks, or catching the game from the couch, First Bank is in your corner. With a secure, easy-to-use mobile banking app, you can check your balance, split the tab for stadium nachos, and stay on top of your money anytime, anywhere. It's like having a financial MVP in your pocket. See, look, even my dogs love First Bank. Jump in with them. And here's the play that pays. You could earn $300 when you open a new First Bank checking account. Use it to score tickets to your next sports event or whatever keeps your game day going. Jump in with First Bank today. First Bank makes managing your money feel like a win. No games, just solid tools to help you stay in control right from your phone. If you're ready to take your banking game to the next level, head to efirstbank.com/bonus. That's efirstbank.com/bonus. Of course, certain restrictions and requirements apply. Member FDIC. And once you got a little bit of extra cash from First Bank, make sure you're hitting up Raising Cane's. Of course, July 27th, coming up in 3 days now? Yeah, this weekend. It's National Chicken Finger Day. So get in with Cane's on National Chicken Finger Day. They're giving 1 free chicken finger extra with any purchase of a box combo all day long on July 27th. So that's 1 extra chicken finger. Jump in with them. They're also partnering with Snoop Dogg to celebrate National Chicken Finger Day. It's a whole big celebration that they're doing over at Raising Cane's. So make sure you get with them, set your reminders, and get ready for the best holiday celebration at Raising Cane's. You can go to raisingcanes.com to learn more. Of course, you can also order online or with their app. See you on July 27th over at Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. This is where... all right. I'm going to throw 2 names at you, and then we'll have another conversation later. Depending on who you ask, people might have trouble with both of these names in the Hall of Very Good. 1, Paul Stastny. And 2, the guy that AJ is making this face about, Matt Duchene.
No.
You're muted.
I'll give you the
I
floor.
don't think I need to say anything. No, I'm moving on. No.
Look, statistically,
You want to call me a
they
salty
should,
dog about it? I'm fine with that. I'll be salty. No.
statistically, they should both be in the Hall of Very Good. If we're looking at purely statistics, they're not good enough to be great, but they were very good players in Colorado for the most part. Particularly Stastny, I think it's pretty hard to argue against Paul Stastny not being in the Hall of Very Good. Yes, I know he went home to St. Louis, sure. But he loved Colorado when he was here. He was at times the Avs' arguable best player at one point, depending on how you feel about the end of Joe Sakic's career. Matt Duchene, I think, is a lot more complicated emotionally. Stastny walked in free agency. Duchene wanted out and ultimately got out via trade. E, where are you at on it?
Yeah, I see a lot of names popping up on the right. I'm loving this. I get all excited. Like, I could talk for 5 hours on this stuff. My take on Dutchie, I pass. On Paul Spall, I really liked Spall. Just because I knew the path of his father and his uncles, and you know what I mean, and I thought Paul was outstanding. He was a second-round pick that we got, and turned out to be a great player. Number 1 center, if you want to call that. I think what Paul benefited from, and I'm not taking anything away from him, is I think he did what I thought Casey Middlestat was going to do here, which is come in, stand right behind Nathan McKinnon, right? You know what I mean? And then just flourish. Paul did that with Joe ahead of him. Joe taking the heavy matchups. Joe taking the big stuff. And then Paul was thriving. I think Paul had a different life in the NHL once Joe walked away and retired, and then Paul became the guy. It's different, and I'm not bashing Paul for that. I'm just, it's not fair to compare him to Joe. Paul was an outstanding career. Joe was just a Hall of Famer. I don't think Paul's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I agree with you. I would put him in the ring of very good. You know what I mean? Because I think for years he loved the community of Denver. He loved representing the city, the team. Paul's a hockey player, loves hockey, loves to talk hockey. So yeah, for me, Paul's a yes. I think to compare to that a little bit, just so I can take the floor there for 2 seconds here. But for me in there, somebody's talking about Claude Lemieux. I agree. For me, Claude Lemieux should be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? You got 4 Stanley Cups. You got a Conn Smythe. You got, I mean, there's other guys that have gotten in there over the last few years that if they've gotten in, then Pepe could get in. You know, but Pepe's so controversial and everything. But if you're talking about in the Hall of Very Good, this franchise is not what it is today if it wasn't for the trade of Claude Lemieux. I am convinced of that. If my dad was here, he'd be telling you that. Claude kind of, the winning environment started here in Colorado. You know what I mean? Like with that trade. And Claude, for me, is in there. Chris Drury is in there. There's no more clutch than Chris Drury. And a guy that people tend to forget a little bit, and I love him dearly because I played with him in New York. I played with him like 6 years. Very underrated. So smart, so skilled. You're talking about today's game. He would have been so good in today's game. Valeri Kaminsky. You know, I mean, oh my Lord, you talk about pure, like, silk on ice. I love them. You know what I mean? And those are the guys, and Ozo too. I mean, I can throw in we were talking about that before the show. I mean, there's so many freaking guys that we can put in there, but I just wanted to make sure I saw those names on the right there, you know.
You're naming a bunch of names that I wanted to get to, and they're all surrounding a conversation that I want to have here of to get into a team's Hall of Very Good. What's the minimum number of games you need to play? Because we're not putting Andrew Chuck in the Avs Hall of Very Good. We're not putting Theo Fleury in the Avs Hall because they weren't here long enough.
Yeah.
So what's the cutoff line? All these guys you're saying, very close, just north or just south of 300 games played with the Avs.
I think it's 400.
You think it's 4? Okay.
Yeah. That's 5 seasons.
Yeah, that's 5 full seasons, essentially. Fair enough. I have no argument for that. That would eliminate players like Claude Lemieux. It would eliminate players even like Valeri Kaminsky would not make the cut. Ozolinsh would not make the cut if it's 400 games played. Rob Blake would not make the cut.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Blake. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, you got to cut it somewhere. I like the way you just.
There's only 19 guys in Avs history who would be eligible for this fake Hall of Very Good, and I think that's the point of it. Yeah, there have been a lot like Claude Lemieux, Adam Deadmarsh, like these guys. Some of these guys are really, really good players. I guess
Deadmarsh would make it just barely.
Yeah, he's 19.
Just barely would make it.
405, baby.
My man.
But like we're talking, and yeah, people have mentioned this in the chat. I'm cutting off Nordique's history. I'm sorry if that makes you mad.
This is an Avalanche podcast, not a Nordique. Sorry. Yeah.
And like we're talking about an Avalanche Hall here. If we were doing franchise retired numbers, this would be very, Goo, Stasny's, like there would be a lot of it'd be so different. So
for the sake of ease, it's just a clean break. Colorado and Nordique are separate. Like
exactly. That's how I wish statistically the franchises would keep their own stats like that. Stop taking.
I fully agree. Yep.
But anyway, I think for me it would be the 400. It would be the 400 mark. Funny enough, you know who doesn't qualify as Cale Makar?
Yeah.
But we'll feel good about him getting 5. He's got 5 games to go in the next 2 years to get there.
If you get to 300 games and you're over a point per game, we'll let it slide. Okay.
Yeah, an exception. But yeah, like so this Hall of Very Good. Like I'm only really considering these 19 players. And
is Kadri in there? Talking about is Kadri?
He's not.
No,
he wouldn't. Enough games.
No. So I am. I think Tyson Barrie is a guy that I would put there. He was, before Makar showed up, he was like their franchise leader in a lot of their defensive and scoring stats.
I would have Barrie in and Lyles out, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I would agree, but I hate it because I was such a big fan of Lyles, and he was so silky and smooth back there for a long time.
It was good.
Yeah.
Johnny
was
good. I agree with that. Johnny was good. I think that Tyson, well, they both kind of came out of nowhere in the sense that they weren't first round picks, and you know what I mean. But I think Tyson was a little more electrifying. You know what I mean? Like Tyson did the skill, he switch hands, make a pass, like as a lefty, as a right. Like, I've never seen anything like that. This kid was, oh my god, you're talking about skill. But yeah, both of them were good. But I think I think Tyson would go a little bit ahead of me. For me, no offense, Johnny, that's not what I'm saying, because he's marked his way with the Avalanche record book in so many ways. But yeah.
Are we ready for another complicated one?
The answer is no on Ryan O'Reilly.
Okay. AJ's just a hater of the complicated ones. Got it.
No, so here's part of it, okay? Because my answer is no on Sam Girard. Sam Girard's 12th in Avalanche history in games played.
Yeah, I think my answer for Girard would be no as well. Yeah.
My part of it, my thing here is that you have to be, and the reason why I was a hater on Paul Stastny, although Eric did kind of turn me around on it. All right, fair enough. Is, I think that you either need to be like a team's like best player, even if the team isn't very good. You need to be like that guy,
at least on the top pairing. Like,
yeah, or you need to be like a really, really high end complimentary guy, the way that Tanguay was.
Yeah, I fully agree. Girard at his best in Colorado was their third best defenseman. There's plenty of nights where he's their fourth best defenseman. Is that a good player? Yes. Is that a very good player? I don't know.
Yeah, and headed to this conversation, there are multiple guys on the Avs roster right now that are headed in. Devon Taves, number one.
I would say immortal lock for that, basically. Yeah.
If he stays at a high level for the next 3 years, he's home. Like he's a home. If he finishes the contract that he's on at a high level, and they win another Stanley Cup, we could be having a retired number conversation. I think it would take a lot to get there, but
another cup or two maybe.
It's not off the table is where I'm going with it, right? Nichushkin, I think, is another one of those like complicated guys that you're like, is this really a person we want to celebrate like this?
The off ice stuff is going to make it hard for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if he stays completely clean for the next 5-6 years, then we could have a real conversation about it. But like that's the barrier. He's gotta keep it cool. Arturi Lehkonen is another one that
I think he'll get there. For me right now, on his current trajectory, he gets there, but he has to get there still. He has to go do it.
Yeah, and it's still early. Honestly, it feels like he's been here forever, but it's still early in his tenure. He's only been here for a few seasons. So
the injuries have slowed down his game totals as well. Yeah.
The one guy we haven't talked about on this list, I'm sure you have him. It's the goalie. It's Varley.
Yeah. He's in for me. He's in for me. Yeah.
Easy.
Gotta be there.
He's
easily
arguably the second best goalie in Avs history. Like,
arguably.
Again,
he didn't win a cup. People like to give it to Kemper.
But it's funny, we're talking about Varley right now quickly. Like, remember I was telling you guys we had that file. We spent 6 months on that at least. It was crazy. We had undercover people. We touched on it. I think we did, right? I don't know on the pod if we did or off pod, but
certainly told us about it.
Yeah. And the file, and not to be stupid, but we had fun with it because it was very important. It was very important for the franchise, and I think we nailed it. And we knew the pick was going to be Philip Forsberg, which ended up being Philip Forsberg. And again, I would make that trade, not knowing who Philip Forsberg is, knowing that he was going to be a good player, which he was. I still would do 6-7 years of a number one goaltender, you know what I mean, for Philip Forsberg. You know what I mean? Even though Forsberg's a good player. But it's funny, ironically enough, if you're a golf fan, the Open last weekend was at Royal Portrush, right, in overseas there. And that's the file. The file was called Operation Portrush. because Kirk McLean at the time I think he still is. He was a member of that golf course over there, Royal Portrush. And that's how we called the file, Operation Portrush. So it was funny, all weekend I was thinking of Varley. So anyway, just a little side note there. And I know it's time for a little break, but we'll get back to that. That's important to talk about.
Look, the Hall of Very Good is like putting down a nice floor on the foundation of your house, all right? If you're putting in floors, that's where Empire Today comes in to play. Just like your favorite team needs a home court field or ice advantage, your home needs a floor advantage. And Empire Today has the dedicated flooring professionals to help you get it. Go take a look at Empire today and jump in with their flooring. They only carry the best quality products, so you know you'll be getting the good stuff. You can get with them in a bunch of different ways, including going to EmpireToday.com. You can use their tools online to measure out your space, see what your floor looks like. You can also schedule a free in-home estimate where someone will come out, they'll bring flooring swatches. You can see the floor in your space with your furniture. And the best part is when you get that free in-home estimate and you go to EmpireToday.com/DNVR, you can get $350 off your new floors. Again, use the DNVR code over at EmpireToday.com/DNVR. Get that $350 discount. Of course, restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DNVR for full details, or you can always call 1-800-588-2300-EMPIRE. Once you've got your new floors put in, you're enjoying life, it's time to kick back, relax, crack yourself a can of Coors Light and choose chill. Coors Light, the Blue Mountain beer. The mountains turn blue on the can or the bottle to let you know it's ice cold and ready to drink. They are available in pretty much every liquor store in the country, although I will say a lot easier to find out here in the West. They're everywhere here in the West. They have it back east, but you got to look for it a little bit. Coors, the best part is you don't actually have to look for it because you can get it delivered right to your front door thanks to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. So get in thanks to Instacart. Get your Coors Light. Choose chill today, whether you're grilling in the backyard, kicking back and watching some summer hockey. I'm always a fan of the Australian Ice Hockey League. It's not good hockey, but a couple of Coors Lights make it look better. So jump in today. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get it delivered again with CoorsLight.com/DNVR and Instacart. Please celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I want to wrap this one up. We can go through the rest of these players with over 400 games. I don't think we have to have too many conversations. JT Compher, clearly not making it. Patrick Roy's an all-timer, so he doesn't count.
What? I'm just kidding.
Did we decide on Deadmarsh? Deadmarsh in or out?
It hurts my heart, but I would say out. Again, we're talking about like high-end complimentary guys, and like he was like what, like the fifth best forward.
Yeah. For me, he's in, not because I love him, because I
was gonna say I know how this is gonna go.
But I love him, but he is for me my favorite Avalanche of all time. And Teddy knows that. I play with him. I've told him we've worked together. We've eaten a lot together. I miss that dude. But he was so different. You talk about a unicorn. He was a unicorn. He was a throwback of a throwback. You know what I mean? And he was so. You're talking about a real teammate, and you feel good because you're going to war with them. And we all know it's a game. I'm just using words, but oh my God, like you wanted to go with him. You know what I mean? And for me, that's why he's in. One of the fastest guys you've ever seen. He didn't look like he was fast. People didn't know he was fast. He was fast. He was one of the fastest guys we had back then with Joe. And again, I've always said it, footy. So yeah, Teddy's in there for me. And it's unfortunate. That's it's the way it ended. For Adam, but good human being, great dude. For me, he's my all-time favorite Av.
You know what's crazy? 10th. He's 10th in Avalanche history in goals scored.
Dude put the puck in the back of the net.
He'll probably be 11th next year when Cale Makar passes him. And frankly, he might be 12th because Nichushkin might pass him also. But
Lecky's not that far off either.
Yeah, like I think that you have to that shows like what a productive player he was. And oh my God, would the Avs kill to have that guy right now on a right wing?
He'd be the perfect dude that this team needs, to be
That
honest.
the
I
speed
love
and
him.
the hands and the crash and bang. Oh my God. That is Rob Blake. I understand it. They want a Stanley Cup. It is all good. But trading Adam Deadmarsh
It
more
hurts.
so
Yeah,
than
it
Chris Drury
hurts.
is the one that hurts me the most in Avalanche history.
Yep.
It's Deadmarsh 1 and Drury 2 because I loved Deadmarsh. He was one of my favorites.
Did leave one guy who's played over 400 games that I didn't talk about. One, because he's partially family to E, but two, because he's perfect segue into our unsung cup heroes. Stefan Yell.
Yeller, good old Yeller. Yeah, I mean, we married sisters, right? Great dude. A perfect segment, like you're saying, to the unsung hero. That's what Yeller was.
He's definitely not in the Hall of Very Good, but as much as he's loved.
Not enough production there, not enough. You know what I mean? Like it's but he was. You could count on him, right? Coaches, management. You know, the whole time he was here, and then it's like the rest. You price yourself a little bit out, right? You know what I mean, for what you're bringing, and then you got to go, and hence the trade of, give him a second life in Calgary, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, you could depend on him. You could count on him. Smart, knew how to adapt his game to stay in the NHL. Again, like I said, he's a 100-point guy in juniors, guys. So all of a sudden, he learned the art of winning faceoffs. He learned the art of being smart. And then he learned the art of what I just said about Paul Stastny earlier, playing behind, he learned the art of playing behind Peter Forsberg and Joe Sakic. So it was very simple. It's like, if I can be that guy that's reliable, that's trusted upon, then I can play for a long time in the league. And he figured that one out. And then when you have those two guys, then you can go 10, 15, 20 games. I'm not knocking on him. I'm saying without scoring a goal, nobody's going to talk about it, right? You know what I mean? But he was there for a big face-off. He was there for a big PK. He was there for stability, especially in that cup run with Mess. And again, Mess was a former defenseman. I mean, we can do a pod on Mess. That was played in beer leagues before we signed him with the Avalanche. So the guy was out of hockey a couple of years. So, and he was a defenseman. He won the cup as a winger with the longest stick in the history of the league, and Sean Podine. So Yeller was the stability. Yeller was the guy on that line, the heartbeat of making that line work. And yeah, I mean, he's definitely. He was like, today's Andrew Cogliano type of thing. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of.
When we talk about an unsung hero, I think the 0-1 Cup run for Yell sums it up. Played in every single game, scored a grand total of 3 points in that playoff run. His one goal is an overtime game winner.
Yeller, yeah.
Yeah. He had that.
You know what's funny about that? If you guys remember, again, you guys are young. For me, I'm playing for the Rangers. I'm playing for a different team, but it's my dad, so I'm watching the games obviously closely. The game before, the game before, he misses an absolute empty net in the crease with no goalie, and then I think it's Scott Young, former Av, that goes and scores the other way, and then they lose the game. I think it's Ducky Young that scored. I don't remember. But Yeller was devastated. We lived down from each other in Cheer.
It was
He was riding his bike up, and he was like, was it Scotty Young? Yeah. God, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. My memory's good. And then Yeller was devastated. He was like, he couldn't believe that he missed it. And it's funny because he gets the redemption there, right? The game after. And then, he gets that overtime one. I think it's game 4 or whatever it was. I don't remember my games, but he does get that game overtime winner. And it was awesome because you felt good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, pretty cool. Wasn't counting on the goals, but I tell you one thing. When you're the Avalanche back then, we had a lot of leads, and you need some trusted guys to get out there and play the certain way, play the right way, and Yeller certainly did that.
All right. Let's jump to
Can
more
you clarify
current.
something in the chat?
Yeah, it was Sean Podine. It was Post that kept his hero.
Yeah.
There you go.
Gross story.
Jumped. It was like 26 straight hours because he had a bet with was it Crawford? I forget who he had to bet. Oh no, it was hair guy. Barry Melrose. His
Hair
Podine's
guy.
bet to leave his jersey on was with Barry Melrose. He said if he wanted, he'd leave it on for his jersey number amount of hours. Yeah. Jump to 2022, and we'll kind of go back from there. Who do you have as an unsung hero of the 2022 Cup run for the Colorado Avalanche?
I'll give you guys.
I'll go first, and I think mine will be controversial because I think a lot of people will think he's sung. But I'm taking Andrei Burakovsky as the unsung hero of that Cup run to me. Not that he isn't like well liked, but I think a lot of people forget. First of all, he scored the first goal of the playoffs for the Avs by shooting the puck through the net. Super cool moment. But also scored the game winner in game 1 of the Cup finals, already damaged, and then would end up missing the rest of that series with even more injury trouble. But a guy who was an auxiliary piece just because that team was so deep, still had a couple of critical moments that I think at times get overlooked in that Cup run.
I like it.
Game winner in game 1 of the Stanley Cup final.
Yep.
I mean, the guy was so silky smooth. And underrated part of this had a broken foot and a broken hand.
Yep.
By the end of that.
Scored the game winner on a broken foot, and then the broken hand knocked him out of the rest of the series. But
he had 8 points in 12 games in that run.
Yep.
Like it was a really good run for him. It was no shock to any of us when Seattle came calling and gave him a bunch of money, and we were all like, good for Berkey.
Yeah, he earned it and then has been injured ever since, basically. But
yeah, really, it sucks to see what injuries did to him in Seattle. Honestly, I hope he has such a good year in Chicago.
Same.
There's so many guys you can add to to those lists, right? Unsung heroes. Like go back to the other one. You got John Clem, and then you got guys like that, right? Which Clemmer
we'll get there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Stick with 22 for now.
No, I know, but 22 for me, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm not, because we lived in a little bit of uncertainty there the last couple seasons. Not anymore. But in the net, I would go with Pavel Francouz. I would, because a good dude, good
Definitely
guy.
fair.
And it was more like it brought the stability. Maybe like Kemper wasn't, I like Kemper. I told you guys I would have made what the Avs did. We were doing the same deal in Calgary. The Avs did it. We ended up signing Markstrom. We didn't have to give an asset. He was a UFA. If that wasn't working, which he was actually going to Calgary, Edmonton. I don't know how, but it turned around in a matter of 5 minutes. Then he came to us. But we were going after Kemper, and that's what we were doing. And we were doing the same thing. It was whatever the deal was, some first round pick, and whatever it was. So we would have done the same thing. So, so I don't remember who our guy was, but at the end of the day, Kemper, I think, was a good goalie. I would have done, but I think he needed the presence and the calmness of a guy like Francouz there behind them on the side and being there. And I thought being a team guy and being there, and then came in at crucial times, you know what I mean, with the eye injury and all that kind of stuff. So I would say Francouz would be one of my names too.
Frankie is an interesting one. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know if he's unsung in Avs fandom. In Avs fandom, he's basically a cult hero at this point. But if you look around the league nationally, when people talk about the 22 Cup run, people will say, oh, yeah, didn't your backup play a couple games in that run or whatever? They don't know. They don't realize that Frankie went 6-0 in that run. They don't realize how good it went with Kemper's eye injury at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other, when we're talking unsung heroes, I mean, I think like JT Compher obviously had a couple of really big moments. The game winner in, I think it was game 3 in Edmonton, where he just like manned up on Evan Bouchard and embarrassed him. And then was the last guy in the world to know that puck went in, because he was just standing there and everybody else was celebrating. And then obviously his the 2 goals he scored against St. Louis.
Yep.
In that comeback win. Huge. But speaking of St. Louis, I mean, Darren Helm. Obviously the iconic goal.
Too big a moment, right? Yeah, to really
that
be
one
unsung.
moment, right? But that's it. It's like he scored 2 goals in 20 games. That's one of them. Yeah. And the way he played in the Cup final, he averaged like 10 hits a game.
Yep.
Like he was incredible in that Cup final. Just I've completely unleashed. Like sacrificed his body to win
Between
that
him
thing.
and
I mean,
Josh Manson, they were just wrecking shop.
yeah, Josh Manson's another guy you could have an interesting conversation about because he had some big moments.
Yep.
The funny enough, maybe Josh Manson's biggest moment in that series was the save that he makes against St. Louis.
Yeah. The
To
kick
keep them
save
from
behind his goalie.
Yep, to keep them from getting another goal and extending out their lead. That like and Josh Manson does have an overtime winner again in
He
the
does.
St. Louis
He
series,
does.
but was also absolutely everything that they needed. That team needed Josh Manson. And I know that it's tough for me to call Bowen Byram unsung because we've spent 3 or 4 years since then talking about
Singing it,
how
yeah.
amazing he was in that playoff run, but he was really good in that playoff run.
Yep.
Let's just put it
All
this
right.
way. There's a lot of guys for a reason. Because you don't get to win with guys playing like crap. It's really rare when guys playing like crap. So usually your secondary, third tier guys usually play well, and that's where the unsung heroes come from. So that's why there's a lot of players to choose from.
I do think the unsung part is interesting though, right? Because you look down that lineup, no one is saying Andrew Cogliano is unsung because the lore around his speech to the team before Game 6 has like reached peak levels at this point. It's like he turned them invincible with that thing or something. I don't know how he did it, but there are those guys down the lineup that still get sung. It's just interesting to see which guys maybe, not that they don't get the credit they deserve, but aren't quite talked up as much as others. Which I want to move to 2001. And the guy I had selected, just because I don't know how accurate this is. I was young, so I don't have a perfect grasp on it. I'm sure he can get into things a little bit more. But when you look at the Avs lineup, you get past the stars, the big names. Ray Bourque playoff run, and the guy tied with him for, I think it was 7th on the Avs.
Are Rudo and AJ gone? It's
Yeah,
just you. It's just you and me.
Well,
it's just you and me.
I didn't know where this was going. I didn't know where he was going with Rudo as he gets back. He was saying he was 7th in points with Ray Bourque. I'm assuming. Let's go. Who would have been tied 7th with Ray Bourque in points? Is that where you're going to?
Billy Niemanen is the guy, for the record.
Yep. And again, I can very, very much talk about this. Nemo came out of nowhere. Nemo was a strange character. Oh my God. He didn't look like a hockey player. His English was awful. I love him, by the way. I'm not bashing him. And then all of a sudden, part of the reason they traded Denmarsh it was Nemo had a little bit of auditions there. We always say make decisions. And I remember for a fact auditioning there on the big line and, with Forsberg. And then next thing you know, they're like, well, Peter can make anybody, not to take away from Detter. I'm saying in a short-term period, maybe Nemo can do the job, and he did. You have to give him credit. Now, could he have done it a full year, another 2 years, 3, 4 years? No, I think he lasted the next year, got traded to Pittsburgh, if I remember, or the year after. I don't remember. But, he was one of those guys. He was very erratic, very all over the place. But for that time period, he did the job, and he's one of those guys that didn't care. Nothing bothered him. So the pressure, everything, like, hey, he was just new, you know what I mean? And that's why he was perfect for that run. So I agree with you. Nemo was essential to that playoff run, and he was outstanding. Because you got to remember, it was Nemo and Forsberg and was it Drury, and then Peter went down, right, the last 2 rounds, and it was Nemo, Danny Heino, and Chris Drury. So again, Danny stepped up as well, but Nemo he scored some big goals that he drove people nuts on the other team, though. Nuts.
Can Can we all agree? And I don't want to take anything away from him. Dan Heinold was great, stepped up for that team, but he is not unsung. He is the guy that everyone immediately loves from that team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
the thing is Dan Heinold is legend because of his cup final.
Right.
Not anything that happened before that, but 7 games, that 7-game series, he had 4 points.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he
Again.
did it, and he barely played.
Yeah.
He barely played in that time.
He played with Chris and Nemo, you know what I mean? And those guys stepped up. Chris stepped up big time with Peter going down, because Forsberg goes down, you're like, your 1-2 punch is gone, right? And that's where Chris, stepped up a big time. And then Danny played those 5-on-5 minutes to a T, and same thing. Danny was, again, really like him. What I'm going to say is not mean. He was really annoying on the ice. He was one of those guys you just want to punch in, right? And Nemo was the same way. So they had that, annoyance, for the other team on that team. And, so that line I thought would have been a disaster because of Forsberg's injury, and ended up being a strength because they were awesome.
Just
all right.
Part of the amazing part of Dan Heinold is that he gets so well remembered. He averaged 822 of ice time that entire postseason.
Yeah.
822. And everybody talks about him. He's like one of the most famous abs from that team.
Because he gave everything he had. Danny gave everything.
Oh, he was awesome.
Everything he had, he gave every shift. And again, in the finals, he probably played more, because in the first 2 rounds he didn't play much, compared to that. But exactly,
A little.
He played more. He played a little more, but we're talking about 5-on-5 minutes. I don't even remember if Danny PK'd a little bit. I don't remember if Bob trusted him for that, but I'd have to go. I mean, I don't remember that. But no power play, no, it was 5-on-5 minutes basically, right? So,
all right. Again, I was young. Let me read off a couple of names to you guys, and you can tell me who the unsung heroes were. Sean Podine, Eric Messier, Dave Reed, John Clem.
John Clem for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, wasn't that the postseason run that led to him getting the big deal in Chicago?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good dude. And if you go back, that's 01 and 96. You're talking about unsung. Clemmer played wing. He played wing D. I mean, wing. 96, even 97. Like he was my line mate a lot of times. We were just 2 guys on the 4th line, 2 wings. You know what I mean? And then the centers would go through. But Clemmer played wing a lot of games. He adapted. He just whatever. I'll do it. And he was smart and he was trusted and. But in that 01 Cup, him and Devo DeVries were awesome. You know what I mean? As a third pair, they were really good.
Yep.
Really good.
I think this is probably just me thinking that he's always been underrated for everything, but Steve Reinprecht.
Sure.
Never got nearly enough love as a player. I think that in that Cup run, he was a baby. So nobody really knew who he was. He didn't have like the Dan Heinold, like does all the little things for you kind of going for him. Yeah. But after the Forsberg injury, gave their depth real help.
Well, Rhino,
their depth did a lot of work.
He's the forgotten guy in the Rob Blake trade, right? You know what I mean? Because nobody talks about Denmark, everybody talks about even Millsy. On that side, and everybody talks about Blakey with reason. Blake is a Hall of Famer, unbelievable player. Somebody's talking about it. He averaged 29 minutes a night to play. He's a horse. Blake is a horse. Not only is he a farmer, from Simcoe, Ontario, he's a big farmer, but he's a horse. Like he's boy, oh boy, was he good. But Rhino is a really underrated, smart player. Talk about developing, not pushing things. This guy came out of nowhere. And nowhere to go. Played in junior Z hockey somewhere in Alberta, and when as a 21-year-old freshman in Wisconsin, and next thing you know, he was like 22, and this guy named Danny Heatley was going to be a 1st-round pick, and everybody was going to see Danny Heatley, and then Rhino walked out of there with like 20 teams giving him a one-way bag. Then it was different with those entry levels, and it was nowhere. And then LA is the one that signed him. And Rhino is an awesome person. He was a smart player. He was a great addition to that team. And you're right, with Dave Reed on the forward line and the dish man, Chris Digman, they were a solid fourth line. They were trustworthy. They were awesome. But it starts with the IQ that Rhino had. And you're right, not many people talk about Steven Reinprecht, and he had an unbelievable pro career. He lasted forever in the league, and he lasted forever overseas. Still coaches overseas now, so.
It's a good transition to our 1996 side, too, because in 96, I have Mike Keane, which really Mike Keane across his career actually had a number of pretty big moments, but it's the same story you were talking about. And I know you've talked before about Keane's locker room presence, and you can talk to that again, but he's kind of that, oh, right, that extra guy in the Patrick Waugh trade is how I think a lot of people remember him.
After Keener left, I can tell you that I was there. So when I got traded there, he was already there. I knew Keener from Montreal, but you don't realize until you see what a guy like that does. And when he leaves, that's when you're like, oh boy, we lost a big piece there. And I don't think, again, that was my dad at the time. I'm a player. I don't think they realized how much it would hurt, like not having him there. Because you got that big contract in New York, right? And the Rangers. And anyway, he ended up in New York. It did not work out. He was there like 2 months and gone because it didn't mesh, right? The way it's not for everybody, right? To be about, and at that time, he didn't mesh with the people that were in New York. And then he ended up in Dallas of all places, and they won. No crap. Montreal Canadiens influence, right? So Keener, he's the best 4-goal-a-year guy I've ever played with. I mean, if there's a Hall of Fame for that, this guy's is the first guy inducted. Amazing teammate, amazing aura in the locker room. He was 5'2", as tough as it could be, and then he could drag anyone down the fight with him. He was awesome. Every day in practice, on the bus, whatever. This guy was amazing, and you're right. He is the forgotten man of the Patrick Waugh trade.
He was the one guy that I had, but I'm sure there's plenty of others from 95, 96. I was just 5 years old at the time.
Scored an overtime winner against Detroit to start that whole upset.
Yeah, I give it to him all the time because I always gave it to him that he had a bad wrist shot. That's a bad wrist shot there. I thought it was a bad goal. I remember.
It's a terrible goal.
I'm not
it's so bad, man.
I don't know if it was Osgood or Bernie. I don't remember, but I thought it was a bad goal. Somebody talked about Mike Ricci. Same thing. He was a glue guy. You know what I mean?
I don't know that he's unsung, though.
I know. He was like, oh, my God, Denver's sexiest athlete. Crazy. I love playing with Reach. Another fun guy. Another casualty. Back then, compared to today, it was a casualty of cap, right? You know, after you win. And we didn't have a cap back then, but he had an internal cap. And those guys were the ones that were going to be gone. Him, Krupe, Scott Young, Ozo, everyone. You know what I mean? Because they're the guys on that tier. You know, the Kadris, Burakovskis. They're the ones that were being shipped out. But, yeah, I mean, man, oh, man, there was some good characters there. But, yeah.
Scott Young was my answer.
Scott Young. Okay.
Yeah.
What a good player he was. What an amazing player he was. And again, 96, that third line was Reach, Keener, and Yeller. Yeller was a rookie at that time. So all three guys were awesome. And in that 96 against Detroit, that line was crucial. You know what I mean? Like you said, with Keener scoring in overtime and pretty over the years, we've been blessed with a lot of different types of tiers of players, the Avalanche. So it's been great.
Yeah, I would maybe throw current back-to-back Cup champion Sly on that list too.
Yeah, Sly was awesome. Again, locker room guy too. You know,
it takes a village. Takes a village to win a Stanley Cup, I guess. Takes every single piece. We are winding down.
Always surprises me. Just Scott Young had more points than Claude Lemieux.
Yeah,
in that Cup run,
popped off. 15 points was it? Yeah, 15 points in that playoff run. That's pretty impressive. We are out of time.
Obviously helped.
No overtime today as we got other stuff to get to, but we do appreciate all of y'all hanging out with us. So this has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, and I miss you, Mom.
We all silly like the mayor.